Today, I'm going to be building different DIY aeroplanes in 1 minute, 1 hour, all the way up to a day. Starting off, I've made this simple paper plane in only 50 seconds. And I'm going to see how far it will fly.
Okay, 9.93 meters, not bad for a paper plane, but we can get that way further.
This time, I have an hour to build it, so I can make it bigger, stronger, and look cooler. And starting off, I'm going to make the wings of the plane using wooden dowels and this green card. The first step is to make a big rectangle to get an outline of the main shape. And as usual, I'm using hot glue to stick everything together because of how strong it is. And by adding more and more pieces to it and making reinforcements with string, we've now got a really sturdy skeleton. It's not done just yet though, because my wing is hollow, meaning it won't glide. But by trimming down some card and gluing it onto the rectangle I made, air will be able to flow smoothly over and under the wing. And now that my main wing's done, I can move on to the rear one. I'm basically following the exact same process as I did on the first one, but just making it less wide to balance it out whilst it flies. With those two pieces sorted, it's time to build the center of the plane. Again, I'm just gluing together a load of wooden dowels and reinforcing them with tape. Also, something that's really important on this is making sure the front of the build is heavy enough. So to do that, I'm drilling a hole into this cork and gluing it on along with the two wings that I built earlier.
So the plane is almost completely finished and it's actually looking really good. All I need to do now is add the tail, then I can test it outside. So let's just quickly do that.
And by folding more green card and adding supports,
finally, it's finished.
Now it's time to test it out and see if it will beat my record of 9.93 meters on the 1 minute plane.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Turns out the plane wasn't as good as I expected. It didn't even beat half of my record.
So I'm pretty sure the issue was that the back of it was way too heavy. That's why when it flew, it sort of went down like that. So what I need to do is find a way to make the front of it heavier. And I think I've got just the thing. Okay, so right here, I've got a few coins and some tape. I'm gonna tape these onto the front and hopefully after I've done this, it should be heavy enough to fly straight. Okay, there we go. It looks very makeshift, but I'm pretty sure this should work because now if I hold it, the front of it is heavier than the back, if you can see this. So let's try it out again. This is attempt 2 with the Mark II glider aeroplane. So let's test it out. Come on, let's have to go further. Oh, that actually went really far. All right, let's see how far this actually was. Okay, let's see. 14.74 meters. That is 4 meters above the first one. But unfortunately, it has broken. It's broken quite a lot.
I'd say overall that was pretty successful. Right now, these are the scores for the 1 minute and 1 hour aeroplane. But it's time to move on to the last build, which I have an entire day to make. So it's gonna be crazy.
The goal is to turn this basic foam glider into a remote control plane that I can control wherever I want.
The first step is to remove the black foam from the front of the plane with a scalpel to fit all of my electric components into. I'm also cutting out more space beneath that so I've got as much room to work with as possible. Now I can install the first electric component into the build. This one's called a servo, and the way it works is a tiny motor inside of it moves a small arm back and forth, which is what I'll be using to control my wings later. I've also put in a battery and an ESC to power and control the speed of the motor, which I'm gluing onto a piece of wood which will then stick onto the end of the plane. In my opinion, I think this is coming along quite well, but it's not all that easy because now I need to wire the ESC to the motor. So using the scalpel again, I'm trimming down the wires really carefully so there's just enough metal to join them together. And to do that, I'm heating them up with a soldering iron, then melting wire onto it so that the current flows. And now I'm just gonna plug in the ESC to the receiver, which lets me control the plane, and hopefully the power works on it.
Oh, wait. This is a really good sign. I thought it wasn't gonna work at first, but as you can see here, there's a green light flashing. This means that the receiver is being powered. Right now, I'm trying to connect this transmitter to the plane, and apparently, oh my gosh, okay, this is, it's actually working, but I need to apparently I need to drag this down. Oh, it actually worked. It actually worked. You do not know how good this feels that this is working, because at the start, I was literally doubting that any of this would work.
Now that that's out of the way, we can finally move on to the wings of the plane. I'm just cutting out another space for the second servo to go, which will control the back wing. And as you can see here, when I move the joystick, it moves at the same time. I'm also just quickly making some space to hide some wires so they're not just hanging out. I've got the front wing right here, and what I'm doing is making a hinge, which will let the servos control the plane's movement. And to stick them on, all I need to use is some packaging tape. We're almost completely done now. All that's left to do is install the control horns, which will connect to the servos and also make a hinge for the back wing. And finally, the whole thing is done.
Oh my gosh, bro. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got the wings. Yep, left, right. Yes, sir. And we got the back wing. Yes, sir.
As you just saw, everything's working perfectly, so it's time to bring it outside to the same place I brought the first two planes and beat the record.
So here we have the remote controlled foam glider conversion. It took a lot of work, like maybe 10 hours of work. All the components work, the controller works, the wings work. It should all fly, but it's time to test it out. So first I need to plug in the battery just like this. Okay, that should be in. And now here, watch this. So when I turn this on, okay, now it's on. Now it's finally time to throw this and see if it's gonna work. So first things first, we're gonna turn on the motor. Okay, it's on. Now we're gonna see if it flies. No! Oh! Oh, oh wait. Okay, we're gonna see if it's gonna work. 3, 2, 1. Oh, no! It's come off. Oh, no, no. It's completely broken. The main issue was, one, this wasn't connected properly, and also I need to hot glue this on so it doesn't slip out, because as it was flying, this moved, which caused it to all just break, which is why it just nosedives. So I'm gonna need to find another way to fix this and then hopefully try it again.
Over the next few hours, I made a load of improvements, a ton of rebuilding, and a lot of tests.
This is attempt number, I don't even know, probably attempt number like 27. I have put a steel ball at the back to balance out the weight a bit more. This thing has fallen off maybe like, I don't know, 4 times. I've had to re-tape it on, re-glue it on, as you can see here. I've had to install this, install more tape there to make it work more.
And even after that, I crashed it maybe another 50 times. But eventually, I finally got a good flight. It flew practically exactly how I wanted it to, and the only thing that stopped it was a bush. So knowing that I could get a perfect flight, it was time for another test.
So I'm in the car right now, and I'm on the way to try this out one last time. I've done so many changes to this. I've had to change the front, I've had to change the propeller, had to attach new things for the battery, I've had to tape things on, I've had to make repairs, I've had to stick things back, and I'm just praying that this works.
I don't even know what attempt this is, so we'll just call it number 56, but this has to work. There's been so many improvements, so many tests. We'll just have to see how it does.
Well, it's working. You ready? Mm-hmm. Right. 3, 2.
That's it, propel into the air.
This time, the plane fully broke. There was no fixing it. The motor literally just stopped working completely, probably because of how many times it had hit the floor. But I did actually beat my record of 14.74 meters. If you remember earlier when I was testing it, I did a flight that went 22.4 meters. That's more than double the first score I got. So I'd say this went quite well.
But if you guys get the video to 100 likes, I'm gonna remake this whole plane so that it flies with the remote control properly, because I know a lot of you probably wanted to see me do that. And if you did enjoy the video, you might as well subscribe. This took a ton of time to make, and I've got a lot more of these on the way.